Well, thanks for coming, and appreciate it. And we're excited to get going spring ball. We will have one in the books by this time next week, and we've got a lot of work to do, and a lot of decisions to make. Um, I've got some changes that we need to talk. I can just cover with you to get out of the way first. Some roster things. Ricky Marvere and Jerry Rice have both decided, and they decided this really right after the season, that they were going to graduate, get their degree from UCLA, and use that remaining year of eligibility that they have to go play elsewhere, where maybe they could, have a very productive final year of college football. And so we'll miss them, but we're excited about them and extremely excited that they're going to graduate from UCLA and get their degree here. It's really important to both of them and their families. So we're wishing them the best, in constant contact with both of them, and trying to help them get situated at a place where they can have a really productive final season. Todd Golper, his plan all along was to graduate and then move on in life and start his life's work. So he treated last year as his senior season all the way around. So when you see those three players not on the roster, that's the reason for it. This would be the first time that this has been announced, and it's very unfortunate, but Tevin McDonald has been released from the team for a violation of team policy. And so, unfortunately, Tevin will no longer be with the UCLA football team. We've made some position switches, very minor ones. We're going to start out with Simon Goins playing left tackle and Torian White playing right tackle. When you look at our offensive line, we had the three freshmen playing last year. Xavier Suafilo was a sophomore, and then Jeff Baca was the only player that left the program. So we'll start the spring out with Alberto Cid at right guard. But just like every position on this team, we're going to encourage competition and promote competition. And we think competition will bring out the best in everybody. So it's really a day-to-day proposition at every position, but certainly at that right guard spot. But Alberto Cid will start there. We have some players that will be out for spring. The one that will probably surprise people the most is Owa is going to miss spring. Owa had surgery on his hip. He had, I guess, what would be comparable to a rotator cuff injury that you have in your shoulder, in his hip. He had it taken care of very soon after the bowl game. His recovery is going great. He'll be ready to go for summer camp, but we're going to hold him out of spring. The other one that might be a little bit of a surprise is Marcus Rios. I don't know if you guys remember last year during the season that Marcus missed a couple games with the sinus infection. It reoccurred after the season. He spent a considerable amount of time in the hospital while they tried to get it under control. They did get it under control. He is doing fine, but he lost a considerable amount of weight. He wasn't able to go through our off-season conditioning program, and so what we need to do with Marcus is slowly bring him back and build him back physically. And it would not be prudent to put him out on the field at this time. He physically is not ready to do that, but he's making tremendous strides. He is regaining his health, and it was really unfortunate because he essentially lost a whole quarter of school and wasn't able to go through any of the off-season workouts. But Marcus has a great work ethic, and he'll push through it, and he'll be fine when we come back for summer. Damian Thigpen obviously is not going to be able to go through spring, but he's recovering nicely. He's working hard, and I don't know exactly when he'll be back, but I don't know if it'll be the start of summer camp or at some point, into summer camp, but he is making nice progress. Colby Seibert has still not recovered from the back injury. He had a procedure right around Christmas time, and he's not able yet to practice, so he's out for spring. Willie Green is still rehabbing from the knee injury that he suffered. He's doing well, working hard, but he's not going to be able to go through spring. Will Oliver had the shoulder surgery late in the season last year, was out for the bowl. He's not quite ready to go yet as well. And then Lacey Westbrook has not yet been cleared to participate. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players that will not be participating in spring. There'll be other players that will be limited in some form or fashion. There'll be some that are limited early and work back into the meat of the practice as we go, and we'll be, you know, prudent with them, but we'll also push them. I think, you know, we have a lot of goals for this spring. Certainly, you know, we've got now a year in the system offensively, defensively, and special teams. And so what we need to do as a football team and as a staff is I think we need to increase the intensity. We need to increase the sense of urgency on our team. And I think we need to apply more pressure to each other to maximize our potential as a football team. And so that will be part of the focus. You know, we know what we're doing now. We understand the schemes. We understand the calls. We understand the adjustments. And so there'll be less tolerance from the staff to the players, amongst the staff, amongst the players, for mistakes being made. You know, we have to find a way to reach the next level. We have to find a way to go into a game like the Stanford game, the Pac-12 championship game where we're playing for the Rose Bowl, and not make the couple of mistakes that we made that really affected that game. And so that's just going to be a real point of emphasis. We have to develop a maturity on this team that allows us to function at a high level in high-pressure environments, and that's players and coaches. I include all of us when I talk about increasing the intensity and the sense of urgency and applying pressure. So we're excited about that. I know our players have had a really good winter quarter. They've done an excellent job in the classroom, and Coach Alosi has done a tremendous job with them. Their attitude, you know, he's a hard man to please, as we all know. None of us have ever seen him smile. And I actually got a couple of smirks out of him this winter when he talked about the attitude and the work ethic of our players. And for him to be impressed is a good thing. But that being said, we have to continue it, and that's our goal. So we're excited about it. It's our second spring, kind of know what to expect. That doesn't mean there'll be a comfort level. We won't have a comfort level. We'll try to make it as utterly uncomfortable for all of us as we possibly can so that we can promote growth. So any questions, fire away.
With the depth being what it is, will you be able to go kind of as physically as you did last spring?
We'll do what we can. I think we have to be conscious. You know, there are some positions where we just don't have a lot of depth. But we need to be able to practice physically. You know, we need to see how our running backs function. You know, a guy like Paul Perkins who hasn't had real game reps. We need to see how he functions in an environment where people are going live and tackling live. So yeah, we'll be as physical as we can be, but you know, we're not out there to try to get guys hurt. You know, we want to keep them as healthy as we can. It's a violent game. It's a physical game. Guys are going to get hurt, but you know, our goal is to practice as hard as we can and still stay healthy.
Can you explain the process of getting Malcolm Jones back into school and what your expectations are for him?
Yeah, that's good. I know there's been a lot of question about Malcolm. Malcolm came to me really right when we returned from winter, you know, right when we returned from the holidays. And he came in and he said, you know, I feel like I maybe made a mistake and was hasty in my judgment, and I'd like to return to the team. We were in the midst of recruiting, and you know, our focus was on the young men we were trying to bring into this program. I told him that at this point in time we did not have a scholarship for him, but we'd welcome him back as a walk-on. You know, he's a good kid. He's a good football player. Sometimes you get derailed when you're young, you know, and so I don't think any of us wanted to hold the fact that he left the team against him. We all wanted to give him that second chance because of the type of kid he is and because we believe in, you know, someone earning a second chance. So he's going to start back with us spring quarter. He's a walk-on now. He's not on scholarship. I have not made him any promises, but you know, I kind of feel like Malcolm's going to have a renewed sense of intensity and urgency in the things that I was talking about, and I'd love to see it. I'm excited to see him play. I've been asked questions by fans, is he a running back or is he a linebacker? I never even knew that Malcolm played linebacker. To me, he was always the Gatorade Player of the Year as a running back, and so we'd like to see him reach that potential. I'm excited he's back. I think his teammates are excited he's back.
What's his eligibility to play a game next year?
Not right now, Peter. I think we have to investigate that and approach the NCAA. I think there's some special circumstances there, and hopefully they'll take them into account. But we haven't started that process yet.
Who are the guys you'll look at seriously at running back?
Seriously at running back, well, Jordan James will start out as the #1 running back. Paul Perkins obviously will get a lot of work. Stephen Manfro will be limited because he's still coming off the shoulder, at least early in camp. He'll be able to do things, but there'll be things that he'll be held out of, the contact things right now he'll be held out of. So I'd say, those three guys right off the bat, along with Malcolm. But really, I don't want to eliminate anybody from the competition. I don't think that's the right thing to do,
Who else would figure in?
Well, Ryan Davis and Melvin, and we've got Rosie over there playing a little T and a little F. But I think if you're looking at the guys that'll get the bulk of the work, it's going to be Jordan, it's going to be Paul, it's going to be Malcolm, and then when Steven and Thiggy come back, hopefully in the fall, it'll be those two. So I think there's 5 guys there that will try to fill the gigantic shoes that Jonathan Franklin left in his locker.
Do you anticipate one main back next year like you had last year? Maybe not Franklin's status, but one main guy and then other guys filling in?
I think it's probably going to be more by committee. I think when you look at that group, Chris, and you see Jordan James, and you see Paul Perkins, and you see Stephen Manfro, and you see Thiggy, and we'll see where Malcolm is. Between those 5 guys, I think we'll be able to get quality reps out of all of them. If one guy emerges, and just takes the position and runs with it, then we'll move in that direction. But right now, it's just competition, and we'll see where we are as we go.
Do you see 1,700 yards in that group?
I hope so. I hope to see more than that. It's going to be tough for anyone to come in and do what Jonathan Franklin did. He had one of the greatest careers of a running back in the history of UCLA, and there's been some awfully good ones. So if we can get it done, by committee or by a singular player, we'll take either.
How's everything looking with Ishmael Adams for spring? Is he limited?
He's going to be able to do everything but contact. And at his position, being that he's a corner, I think we can get him in almost every drill and limit the contact on the shoulder. So if we go to a period that's live, then you won't see him in there at least early in the spring ball. But as we go, we'll see where he is. He looks good. He's lifting. Physically, he's back to where he was, but he's just not quite ready for the full meal deal yet.
You talked about running backs, but is that quarterback situation, is that maybe the urgency this year?
I believe so, at the backup position. Well, I think, first of all, we all want to see Brett take another big step forward. And I really think he will. I think, just the fact that he was able to go through an entire season, play in every game, have some success, obviously experience some failures. He'll, there's going to be a huge jump in his level of ability just from absorbing all that through the course of the winter. And I'm excited to see him go out there and see what kind of command he has for the offense and how much he's grown. I think it's also important that we identify his backup. Right now, you look at Jerry Neuheisel, T.J. Millward, and Mike Faithful as the 3 guys that'll be here spring that'll be competing for that second spot. When Asante Woolard gets here in the fall, then that could change. I've said it. You guys know this. I've said it many times. I like Jerry Neuheisel as a quarterback. I think he's got a lot of really great qualities. He was a freshman last year. Did some good things in practice. At times struggled. See what kind of progress he's made.
Without Tevin, where do you see the backcourt standing as of right now?
Well, we're really light at that safety position, and then with Marcus out, we're light at the corner position. We've got reinforcements coming in the fall in the form of the 4, really good players that we signed, but they're not here yet. And so I think one interesting thing is going to be to see how Dietrich is. He's been cleared. He's been cleared for everything. And he's really excited about getting back and getting involved. You guys were at practice during the fall, so you saw him out there working the scout team stuff. We'd have the red jersey on him. We wouldn't let him put shoulder pads on, but at least he was out there moving his body in space and getting mental reps. And in his mind, he's told me that every time he'd approach a guy, he was making the tackle. And so he was trying to get that, get a little bit of the feel of what it's like to put your body on someone back without actually doing it. I know he's a really good player. I hope that he's able to play to his ability, because he could really help us. Randall Goforth and Dietrich will be the 2 starting safeties when we start on Tuesday. Behind them, we've got Brandon Sermons and LB. We're light at that position. We can always move Anthony Jefferson in there. But like I said, we've got some reinforcements coming.
Saw Taylor Mazzoni listed as quarterback's coach. What does that mean for the wide position? Does that kind of float under Yarber?
It floats under Coach Yarber and Noel. We just really felt like Taylor has a unique skill set to coach those quarterbacks. I mean, this is a guy that he's only 25 years old, just about to be 26, and yet there's pro quarterbacks that are seeking him out for advice in the off season. And Matt Barkley chose to work out with Taylor Mazzoni as he's prepared for his pro day and the draft. I think that says a lot about Taylor. So we want to make sure that we get him as much time with Brett and Jerry and Mike and Ashante and TJ and those guys as we can. And so Coach Yarber will take care of the inside receivers. Noel will take care of them. When we meet, I'm not talking about an individual on the field. When we go through meetings, a lot of the time the quarterbacks and the receivers are in the meeting room together, because there needs to be that synergy between the two groups. So there won't be a huge change. There were times last year that Taylor was having, some offline meetings with Brett as it was. Brett would come up and seek him out and say, hey, can you spend a few minutes here watching some film with me, talking mechanics, things like that. So Taylor's a heck of a good football coach. Excited about him.
Is his recruiting job now quarterback's own?
No. Yeah, that's recruiting. Here's how we recruit. This would be great, because I know people have questions about it all the time. Believe it or not, every once in a while I do go to the message boards, and we recruit by area. So coaches have areas, all right? And then what we do is we cross-check. So let's say that you have the Inland Empire, but you're also the defensive back coach, all right? You're gonna recruit the Inland Empire, but then you're also going to have your hand in the recruiting of all the defensive backs that we're after around the country. But your primary job is to take care of the Inland Empire. If I'm the offensive line coach, you're the Inland Empire coach, but you've got a couple of really good offensive linemen in the Inland Empire, then I'm going to come in and help you with that. So it's always a team effort when we recruit. It's never just one guy recruiting a particular position. And that's how we recruit. So Taylor, he has an area, and then he will also be, heavily involved with the quarterbacks. Recruiting quarterbacks, scouting quarterbacks is unique. It's different. It takes a different eye. Not everybody can see a quarterback, can see what you need to see in a quarterback to tell if he's going to be successful or not. Taylor has that eye. Noel has that eye. I probably don't have that eye. I looked at defensive players for most of my career. So, those are the guys that will make most of the evaluations of quarterbacks. No, Peter, what we're going to do, and you guys will see it, and spring's a little different than fall with regards to what you report, and Steve has the guidelines. We eliminated some stuff, right, Steve, to try to just give you guys a little bit more flexibility to report on things. You're going to see Devin working at receiver primarily, but we've also got a package where he plays quarterback. And so we're gonna make that really, it's not a compromise. He's comfortable playing receiver. He realizes that he's got a tremendous future playing receiver, but he's got a pretty unique skill set too when he's got the ball in his hands back there. And so we're going to try to utilize that. You know, one of the problems with that is when you do something like that, you take a pretty darn good player off the field in Brett Hundley. So we just have to be judicious in how we use it. Maybe it's a situation where they're both in the backfield together, or one's at receiver. You might see Brett lined up at a receiver on a play. Don't know that he's going to run a fly route or not, but you know, we'll try to be as creative as we can be without moving too far away from what our foundation is.
Was that the same violation that kept him out of the building, or was it a different violation?
I think all I'm allowed to say, Peter, is that is a violation of team policy. That's all I'm legally allowed to say.
Do you know what his plans are?
I do not. I've spoken to him. Obviously, I'm very close with his father. I've spoken to his father. We just wish him the best.
Got a lot of offensive linemen when you get to the summer. Is there
We do.
thought there's might be some attrition there, or?
Well, there could be. You know, you're right. We have quite a group, and we felt like going into this recruiting season, last year's recruiting season, that was a position we really needed to add depth to and quality to. We were able to go out and get a heck of a class. We'd like those guys to come in and be competitive right off the bat and apply pressure to some of the guys that are here already. I don't know if attrition to you means guys leave the team and go somewhere else, or they just don't play, but we're going to always look to find the best guys and get them on the field.
I mean, go play somewhere.
Well, that wouldn't be my decision. That would be their decision. We're not trying to force anybody out. We're just trying to create the best team that we can, the most powerful offensive line that we can.
You mentioned Lacey, he's in school, he's
Yeah.
with the team.
Yeah. Lacey and Jeremy Castro both started in winter, along with Eldridge Massington. So there's really three new bodies. Eldridge will be out there doing some things, but not everything, at least early in practice. Jeremy's cleared. He's doing great. And then, you know, we're still working through Lacey's issue with, you know, what happened to him last summer. But all three of those guys are in school and they're doing well. They participated in the winter program with Coach Alosi.
Where's Eldridge stand?
He's doing well. You know, he's a young man. You got to remember, this kid's really supposed to be in high school still. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let him miss one Friday meeting so he can go back for his senior prom. And and he, I think there's probably some uncertainty for him. You know, he's never been hurt like this before. And so what we have to do is make sure we do a really good job of building his confidence back up as we get him back on the field more. And not treat him with kid gloves, but just do the right things with him and not put him in situations where he's exposed to injury unnecessarily. Build his confidence as we build the physical part back up. But he's is he a hard-working kid. He's a great kid. His teammates love him. I mean, I've heard from professors on campus already and the tutors and the people in the academic part of our building that talk about what a great kid he is. And what he did coming in as a high school senior, the winter quarter, you know, as the only guy really, because Jeremy and Lacey, they knew those other players on our team. That was hard, and he just assimilated right in. Great kid. I'm excited to see him play.
With Brett, what's most important for you to see kind of improvement-wise out of him, especially just in the spring?
I think probably decision making, you know, quick decision making, you know, being able to make the right decision in an instant and no hesitation in whether it's delivering the ball to a particular player down the field or taking off and using his legs. I think those are the things that we'll look for with Brett. I think he'll feel much more comfortable in our scheme. You know, he studied it hard through the off season. Each of our coaches went back and did what we call a point of attack tape and created a plan of action for our players, and we met with them on it. And so we went back and we evaluated where they were, what their strengths and weaknesses were, and then created a plan for how we were going to move them forward and get them off the mark. And, you know, Brett he's a great student, he's a great leader, but he's a film junkie. I mean, he can't get enough. And I think that's really going to pay dividends. He's going to make big strides this spring.
That was something you did with all the players?
Yeah, all the players. But Brett, you know, Brett probably did it. You know, he probably came in about 4 times and went through it. And he's he's always watching film. He's always on his laptop. He's always self-evaluating. He's always trying to get better.
Do you have a sense who's going to be the number 1 guy opposite Barr right now, or is it that outside linebacker, or is it kind of?
Well, we'll start the season. One other position change I didn't talk about was Keenan Graham. We're going to play him at defensive end, and he's looked good in the off-season workouts. We're going to start the spring with Aaron Wallace at the left outside linebacker and Anthony at the right outside linebacker. Nady Esse will get work there. Jeremy Castro will get work there. You know, Kenny Orgioki, right now he's listed behind Anthony, but he'll get some time over there. A.O. will get some time over there. And then when we get to the fall, we've got Miles Jack and Deion Hollins coming in. So we've got a really good linebacking core. We've just got to find the right guy to play opposite Anthony.
Do you anticipate the freshman defensive backs pushing for starting spots?
Yes. I want them to push. I want every freshman coming in here with the mindset that I'm going to push to earn a starting job. But when you look at that position in particular, we need guys that can come in and contribute and play. And we recruited 4 athletes that we think are capable of coming in and contributing at some level right away, maybe as a starter, maybe as a backup, but I wouldn't be surprised if all 4 of those guys have an impact this year.
Keep harping on the Tevin thing, but was it surprising to you? I mean, this is a guy you brought immediately last year. I mean, it was only 2 weeks.
Just disappointing to me. I'm disappointed for Tevin. You know, I've known Tevin since he was a young boy. You know, I probably met him when he was 5. So just on a personal level, it's disappointing. I care about him, and I hope that everything turns out well for him. He's got a great family. He's got very supportive parents, and I know that they'll find the right avenues for him to have success. He's a good kid.
How do you plan on practicing punting this spring?
You guys, every day we're going to rotate one of you guys through there. That's a great question. I'm looking at our depth chart here, and I don't see a punter on there. Well, you know, Kaimi, he can kick it a little bit, and Justin Marino can kick it a little bit, and Mitch Johnson, he's been working on his punting. We've got a jugs machine out there if it comes to that.
How's your leg?
My leg is awful. So we'll manage. We'll manage.
Does the NCAA will let you use the jugs machine during the game?
Hopefully the young man we have coming in will be, you know, up to the challenge. It's going to be hard to replace Jeff Locke, but I think he's a pretty good player. So we just got to get through this spring. Heck, it'll give Kaimi, and it'll give Justin, and it'll give Mitch, and you know, I think Nate Isse, he punted a little bit in high school. You know, they're going to be coming out of the woodwork. You know that. Hey, coach, I can punt. But we've got, like I said, we've got reinforcements on the way. Brett did a pretty good job with those little quick kicks last year. Didn't he put a couple of them inside the 10?
Do you know who your long snapper is?
We'll start out with Christian Longo as the long. He's a good long snapper. And remember, he's coming off the knee. I don't know if you guys knew this. You probably didn't even know this because last year he was a backup snapper, but he blew out his knee in practice one day, and so he had surgery. And but he's good to snap, and he can kind of cover down a little bit. He can't do a lot of cutting, but he was a highly regarded long snapper coming out. We've also got a walk-on coming in the fall that's a pretty highly regarded guy. Was offered scholarships at a couple places. And I don't know if I'm allowed to even mention his name, so because nothing's official yet. But you know, I'll tell you, that's two positions that people, you know, maybe kind of gloss over. You know, you talk about running back, you talk about quarterback, you talk about defensive back, but you think about how productive Jeff Locke was for us, and you think about how consistent Kevin McDermott was for us, and those are two players those are big shoes to fill. I mean, they really are, because you can't have a mistake. You only get so many repetitions in a game, and every one of them is critical when you're a long snapper or a punter. So, and then Jeff was also our holder. So really it's three positions we have to replace. Jerry Neuheisel's worked on his holding, so you know, I think he'll probably be a guy that we work in there. There's a lot of questions, you know, there's a lot of unknowns, but the thing I do know is that, you know, every day we'll go out there and we'll be competitive, and it'll be intense, and our players have talked about, you know, I use that term, applying pressure to each other, you know, applying pressure to try to be great and not accepting average and not accepting mistakes. And I think that's just a great attitude that they've adopted. I'm excited to see it on the field and in meetings.
Getting anxious?
A little bit, yeah. You know, it's fun. You know, we altered our spring practice schedule this year. As you guys know, last year we went 5 weeks. This year it's 4 weeks. The first week we'll have 3 practices. We'll go Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And then after that we'll go Monday evenings. And we did that so, you know, people could, you know, maybe get off work, or recruits could come in and watch, you know, generate a little buzz on Monday evenings. We'll go on Wednesday and Thursdays at 7 a.m. Our guys like to work early. I like to get them up early. I like to get them on campus. I like to get them going. And then Saturday, the mid-morning, more scrimmage type thing. So there'll be really 2 opportunities for, you know, fans that want to come out to watch it, and then 2 days where it's probably going to be pretty quiet in there.
What's kind of the stump speech that you gotta use and balance between making sure everybody remembers how exciting last year was and step forward, yet that was one season, and you're entering a year where you got a pretty tough schedule, and just balancing the 2 things?
Well, you know, in my mind, we're doing the right things the right way, and we're on the right path, and we're headed the right direction, but we've got so far to go to become the program that we aspire to be. And that's one that, you know, can win the tough games, you know, that can find a way to beat Oregon State, who at that time wasn't necessarily, you know, thought to be a great team, ended up being a pretty darn good team, but it was one of those games that was wasn't it a 1-touchdown game? You know, we need to find a way to win that game. We need to find a way to not have a game like we had at Cal, a blowout. You know, we turned the ball over 6 times. You know, we didn't play well. We've got to find a way to not make the mistakes, or maybe better yet, to make the plays in the Pac-12 championship that Stanford made and we didn't. And I think we're making progress in that area, but we've got a ways to go. You know, we're a young team. It's still a new system. You know, I don't like to say I want to preach patience, because that's not my nature. You know, I want to go for it all the time. But there is a process, and it does take some time. And we're hopeful that it's a very limited amount of time.
What was your reaction when the schedule came out? You saw back-to-back weekends in Palo Alto and Eugene?
I thought honestly, I like that challenge. I do. I love that challenge. And I think it's something, you know, we don't like to look too far ahead. You know, we try to take it one game at a time. But I can tell you that when we get to that 2-week stretch, I'll probably package it for the players, you know, where normally we just talk about the game we're about to play. And depending on how the season's going at that time, if the season's going well, then that's an opportunity for us to take a real step forward by going on the road against 2 of the premier teams in college football, certainly in our conference, and having a chance to get a win. If you want to establish yourself as a top-notch program, that's what you have to do. But, you know, I think we all feel, Chris, that we're headed in the right direction, but, man, the destiny is still pretty far out there, but we're going to see how fast we can get there. And that's us as coaches, and that's as players, and that's as an administration. And we like the excitement we generated last year, but nobody's satisfied with the way the season ended. Nobody's satisfied with only 9 wins. There's a real sense of urgency here, and I think you'll feel it when you see us out there practicing.
What's the biggest difference for you entering this spring as opposed to last year?
I know our players better. You know, I know their capabilities, probably know their limitations, maybe know what buttons to press, know how they react to the pressure that we apply, understand the mindset of the college athlete, what motivates them a lot better than I did last year. Just more familiarity with our players, more familiarity with the college game, the schedule, what you can demand of them, what you can expect of them, and I'm excited about it. You know, I'm excited to go out there and see the progress we've made without ever going on the football field between that Baylor game and April 2nd. I think there'll be a lot of progress that's been made. I know it's a different looking team when you look at them on the hoof. Physically, they've transformed their bodies. Coach Alosi's done an amazing job with them, but you know, they've done an amazing job of really digging in and accepting what he's asked them to do, and it's made an impact on them. They're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, they're more flexible. We're a leaner football team, and we have to be that. We need to become more physical. When we played Baylor, you know, quite frankly, they were a more physical football team than us that night, and I think that's stuck in everybody's craw around here. All of our players, certainly all of our coaches, and it was a bad night, but it was a great lesson. We good? All right. Thanks, guys.